perspective. So we have opposing views, but we know how to disagree without being disagreeable. We have a great time talking to our callers that call from all around the country. Sometimes we get some international calls, which are always blessed. But we want you to join us today as my world famous co-host, Pastor Nick, is here. How you doing, man?
I'm doing okay.
You can give us a call at 866-743-8267. That's 866-743-8267. That's 866-74-EVANS. Give us a call. We'd love to hear from you, talk to you about those things that are on your mind, relevant to your life, and try to give you the biblical perspective on how to approach those things, how to think about those things. You know, the Bible is very clear on the transformation of our minds, but also very clear on intentionally focusing our thoughts when our kingdom or righteous thoughts are challenged. It says, think on these things. In other words, create the mindset you want to enjoy and live, which is an amazing possibility, amazing principle, amazing alternative to being inundated by other kinds of thoughts which impact the way you feel. I don't know about, I do know about Pastor Nick. I know about myself. My thought patterns really have a lot to do with what I feel. And it's imperative the Bible lets us know there's instruction there for changing the way you think, therefore changing the way you feel. But it's not a one-time quick fix thing. It's something you have to work on and be intentional about. In a world where bad news is the popular news and where things are happening that are challenging our peace, it is a great tool to be able to switch your thoughts from what your circumstance is suggesting to what God says the transformed mind thinks. And it says be transformed by the renewing of your mind, by the constant renewal of your mind. God has given us a sound mind, the ability to look through things, see through things to the right solution. Sons of Issachar understood the times, and because of the Word of God, knew exactly what to do in the times they were facing. So we need you to join us this morning in our conversation. Of course, we're going to talk about some political stuff. We're going to have to talk about the shooting in Colorado. And I understand the same thing happened at Walmart. There are a few other things going on in the country that we want to bring relevance to. On the sports side, it seems like everything's heating up. The football's heating up. The college football's heating up. The basketball's heating up. It's really a great time of year for sports.
And that's the sad thing about college football in general.
Okay.
Whether it's them, this, that, we see it all the time.
Yeah.
Coaches leaving, going to different schools. This is why they opened up the portal for the athletes to leave.
Okay.
Before they could leave, but they
Okay.
had to sit out a year
Right.
before they could play again.
But now they can go and play
Now they
somewhere
can
else.
go and play somewhere else like that. So the way the coaches can leave. So that's why Deion took his son. A couple of the other players went along with him.
So you're telling me he decimated the team also?
No, not decimated. He didn't take all of them.
Did he take that guy that came from Alabama?
I know he took his son. I'm not sure if that other guy
That
left.
guy from Alabama was number one
Yeah,
guy.
I don't think he left. I think he's still there.
Okay.
But his defensive tackle was there. So
he wounded the team.
no, that's the other part though, is that you leave and then there is some wreckage behind.
Yeah.
But all I'm saying is this. I don't blame him for going to Colorado.
Okay.
I also understand the disappointment that comes. And I'm holding that duality that if somebody offers you
I get that part.
$5 million compared to
I get that part.
yeah, you're gonna
But I don't think you should project, I'm all in here. I'm here to do this. I'm committed to men's lives. And then as soon as an offer comes along, it changes that commitment.
No, I agree. But again, to me, from the way he's talking,
Now.
the way he's talking,
Yeah.
he's looking at it like I set out these goals.
Yeah.
I accomplished this goal.
Yeah.
And now it's time to move on. So that's the way he's presenting it. So
Well, he's presenting it, but it's a counter message, I think, from what I heard him do and defend and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of a counter message to what he said his commitment was to the young men. And maybe as a pastor, I'm thinking more of the people than I am of the opportunity.
sure.
because in our positions we have to weigh opportunity versus our commitment to the people.
Yeah.
And most times we make that commitment to people.
Yeah.
So I get the business side of it. I'm clear on that. But to me, he presented a people side that seemed to be not situational.
Yeah.
It seemed to have some fiber and some consistency to it that would make him committed. He sounded committed to what he was saying.
Sure. And I totally see that side too.
Yeah.
But we're even seeing in our own churches
Well,
where the people part
opportunity.
I mean,
yeah, a lot of guys are not. I can't say that. The impression that is given is that opportunity over responsibility to people is often seen in a variety of disciplines around this country.
Sure.
Even in the church.
Sure. Now, the way I'm looking at it is I feel like my calling, like you can offer me $20 million. I'm not leaving here because my calling is more important than here.
You know where your
Because my calling is more important than here.
You know where your vineyard. Yeah.
But if I wasn't a pastor,
Yeah.
and I was a head coach somewhere, and somebody offered me $5 million compared to $300,000,
I clearly understand.
I love y'all.
The business side of it. The other side of it is, I think, that could be coming into my consideration, is I'm assuming that Deion is fixed for life without coaching.
Oh, he was fine money-wise without.
Okay.
I think he's also looking for. Here's the other benefit too. So now you have very few black coaches in major colleges.
Right.
So now he's coming into a big college and hopefully make some change there too.
Okay.
I think what he should have did, this is my thought, was if you're going to leave to go somewhere else, work with the school. They could have brought in one of these big-time NFL like assistant coaches that's black or somebody that with some credibility and said, "Here, I'm leaving.
But
pass it on to you.
This is who it's going to be.
This is somebody with some credibility that the school can say, we got X, Y, and Z. May not be Deion,
No.
but it's, this person."
Well, I don't think that was a concern.
Yeah. So I got both sides.
And I'm a little sensitive because as I went a graduate at HBCU, as I was a trustee at HBCU, and then chairman of the board at HBCU, I see the inequity. And then the chair, I see the inequities that are absolutely fully exist as it relates to HBCUs and other colleges. I fully see it.
Absolutely.
Had to fight it the whole time I was there. Saw the impact that it has on the student body. And it's an easy leave behind to go to something different without that struggle.
Sure. And I think the one thing I will say that's not fair that we're putting on Deion is it's not his fault the state underfunds these schools.
No, it isn't.
And people are putting that on him.
Well, no, it isn't.
And again, just like what you said, I get the sensitivity part. And that is a very sensitive place.
Sure.
But they're putting it on him.
Well, he has nothing to do
he
with
has nothing to do with
funding on the school. That having experience in that, I watched budgets being presented for state schools. And 3 or 4 of the majors were in the same pool with us. I watched hundreds of millions of dollars go to majority schools. And 25 million come to minority schools. Hundreds of millions versus 25 million. And I watched those budgets cut down to maybe 190 million and 120 million. And they took our school from like 25 million down to 19 million. More devastating than for the other schools. And it happened through politics.
And I think a school in Maryland, HBCU in Maryland, sued the state to get the money. But it took them years to go through that process, that legal process.
Absolutely.
And they actually showed how much states owe HBCUs. And it's a staggering. I think one was almost, if they added them up over the years, it's like $2 billion.
Well, here's the problem. Number one, we won't get together to present a united front to go after the money. But the bigger problem is they don't mind if we scream.
Yeah.
That's not going to make the money come.
Yep.
So we don't have politicians in positions to impact the decision.
Yeah. So you mean to tell me, Bishop, all that meeting that Trump had with all those HBCU presidents, and they were touting?
It was a lie.
That,
It was nothing but a photo op.
And
I said it was a photo op at the time.
You did. I remember you did. I'm bringing it up for the people who've been out there.
I said it was a photo op at the time because I knew there was not going to be an increase.
Yep.
Because why would, it was all, and the presidents that went to the meeting were part of the photo op.
Yep.
And then some of our people started to think, okay, some money's coming. And the only people that have really given money to HBCUs, significant amount, are the wealthy people in the country.
Absolutely. Yep. Now, can I bring up something else,
Yeah,
though?
yeah.
And I'm sure you'll totally agree with this.
Okay.
My problem is with those people who went to HBCUs complaining about Deion leaving and being underfunded, but they ain't putting squat in the pot
What?
to help.
Wow.
They go to homecoming,
Yeah, I know.
but won't support.
Look, it was a major battle for me when I was at Lincoln to try to rally people to give. I used to say jokingly but seriously, we tend to brag on our institutions, but we don't support them.
Yep.
We tend to talk about them. I went to, but it's a reality.
Yeah. I mean, if you got 100,000 graduates giving $10 a month,
You got
and
money.
you do the math on that.
You got money.
I'm just saying.
You got money. And that's how we worked it out in our situation. I was able to raise more money through alumni giving than any other person in the history of the school because I broke it down.
Yeah.
We've got this many people. Let's do this, and we were able to do some significant things. But it was a change of mindset.
Yeah.
And like anything, like people in church, we got 1,000 reasons for why we don't give. But your money, and this is for everybody needs to get this, biblically, culturally, your money and where you place it reveals your focus.
Yeah. Yep.
It reveals who you are.
Yep.
What you're about. Your money and where you place it reveals who you are.
Yeah.
And if you're not a person that gives biblically, then God knows your focus is not the kingdom and not his church.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Totally agree. So, I mean, I see both sides. Deion Sanders is my favorite football player of all time.
Is he?
He's always been.
Okay.
When I first got into football,
Okay.
it's prime time,
Okay.
Atlanta
Okay.
Falcons,
Okay.
Jerry Curl.
Okay.
I mean,
I didn't know you were Deion was your favorite.
Deion's my all-time
Okay.
favorite.
Okay.
But it's not. Let's not act like he isn't known
Okay.
to do what's in his best interest.
Well, he is absolutely.
he is known for that.
And this is this.
This should not be surprising.
Yeah, this is this.
Yeah, it should not be.
But when he said, when I was watching an interview, one of the many interviews I've watched, and he said something along the lines of, I would have to consider if I got an offer. I said in that moment, he's leaving.
Yep. Yeah.
He's leaving. Because I don't know him, you following him closer. Perhaps the HBCU was not enough spotlight. And perhaps a major school in one of those major leagues is more spotlight.
And he's going to. I think now part of that could be this too.
Okay.
He likes going places to build it up because Colorado is not a good football team.
Okay.
They don't even have the money to afford him yet. They're trying to raise the money to pay him his salary.
But there is some name recognition.
There's name recognition.
Yeah.
I think he likes going somewhere, building it up, and if he does in Colorado, we'll be having the same discussion 3 or 4 years later.
Do you think
and go somewhere else?
Do you think he is trying to step in an early fashion to coach in the NFL?
I wouldn't be surprised. He just work his way.
Because you work your way up.
You work your way up.
I won here. I'm going to win here.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll be an offensive coordinator somewhere, or a defensive coordinator.
I don't think he'll settle for that.
No?
Somebody brought it up, which I think is partially true.
Okay.
That we're not streaming either, so we're going to keep talking and post this later.
Okay.
But
Oh, we're not streaming?
No, we're not streaming. That's why nobody's calling yet.
Oh, okay.
But
there was
we'll
one
post
call.
it. Yeah, I guess they're letting her know.
Okay.
But if she calls back, we'll talk to her still.
Okay.
But I said that just in case you answered the phone.
Okay.
Somebody brought up they didn't think Deion would be willing to go through the developmental phase of being like an assistant
No, I think his ego's too big for that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it was easier for him to be a head coach at
Yeah.
HBCU.
Yeah.
Move to a head coach, Colorado.
That's not going to make him a head coach.
So then he might.
It's not going to make him a head coach in the NFL.
It might if he does well. That's what they've done. They've been
Yeah.
doing it for the past
With-
couple years.
With other people.
Is poaching.
With other people.
I know, but with Deion, you got name brand.
Okay.
But he is now. Did you see his when he started talking to the Colorado team?
No.
He told them, he's like, it's a new era because the team hasn't been good for years.
Okay.
He said, I'm bringing my own luggage. Y'all can enter the transfer portal if you want to. A new day's coming. He laid it out there to
Did he?
them.
Did he?
And he was serious. But I give him that. He let them know up front. I got an expectation, and this is what it is. And if you don't want to meet it, hit the bricks. I think that's why so many players like him and
Okay.
get with him.
Okay.
He knows how to.
Well, he understands football and
Yeah.
he understands
And
football mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. So this shift from sports. We talked about health a little bit so far. You know, I think it just makes sense for people to start taking precautions.
Yeah.
And I understand adults are catching RSV.
Yeah, they are. Yep.
And it's making them quite sick. So
Mhm.
I think the walking around, acting as though nothing's out here and the air is pure and you can't catch anything. I had a conversation with a person yesterday, and they basically tried to convince me that they didn't need to be boosted. They just wear their mask and that the rules should be bent for them because that's the way they felt.
Yeah.
And even though I was presenting, you know, we're trying to make sure we got a safe environment. We need everybody to participate in that. The person wanted to kind of debate with me why that whole plan was wrong just because they had a problem. So the whole system was supposed to change because they didn't want to be fully vaccinated.
Mm-hmm.
And the argument was, I know people, her argument was, I know people that are fully vaccinated that caught it. I said, yes, and they didn't die. I said, that's the point. Not that it'll keep you from catching it, because you can get a flu shot and catch the flu.
Yeah.
But what we're trying to make sure is that people that come in here don't expose our people to the possibility of getting sick.
Mm-hmm.
I said, so we have to have these rules. And, you know, I said, I'm not trying to argue with you, but this is, you know, we have to be cautious.
Yeah.
And you see, once again, Pastor Nick, with this new surge, we haven't been wrong.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Christmas, Thanksgiving.
Yeah, we haven't been wrong.
It's going, it's
We haven't been wrong. We haven't been
inevitable.
wrong. Yeah, it's, and would like to be wrong, but we haven't been wrong yet.
It's to me, it's just common sense.
Well, I think
Yeah,
it is. I think it is.
And I think some people, the social pressure, they don't know how to stand up against the social pressure
It's true.
of, I'm going to do this. You live the way you want to live.
Mhm.
I'm not telling you how to live your
Mm-mm,
life,
mm-mm.
but this is where I'm going to live mine.
Right.
And it just is what it is.
Yeah.
You either accept it or,
Yeah.
what, you know.
You know, but I think you're right. I think there's a, I don't know how that consciousness invaded the general population.
Mm.
I don't know if the nation is in denial.
Mm.
You know, just they call it fatigue, but that's a form of denial.
Mm.
And they want everyone to join them in that. But if you have any responsibility at all for other people,
Yeah.
you have to maintain caution.
Yeah.
You know. So my contemporary,
Mm.
Ralph Warnock, won his reelection.
Yes.
You know, but that's congratulations. I'm glad he won. I don't know why there was such a debate between him and Mr. Walker,
Yeah.
because they're like chalk and cheese. They're so
Mhm.
different. But the other thing that happened this week is that I'm dismayed
Mm.
by how our politicians are making moves to bring attention to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And my interpretation of the Christian cinema move is that she still wants to be the pivotal vote
Mm-hmm.
in a lot of legislation.
Yeah.
So I can't do it in the Democratic Party now because they've got enough people.
Mhm.
So I'm going to become an independent.
Yeah.
So you have to ask me to join you,
Yeah.
and I still have leverage over what you do.
I am not surprised she did this at all.
Okay.
Part of me wonders. I'm not a conspiracy theorist.
Okay.
She ran as a Democrat
Mm-hmm.
just to win,
Mm-hmm.
so she can get in there and do
Mm-hmm.
whatever her
Whatever
plan
she wanted
was.
to do.
And she was never one to begin with.
Mm-mm.
I just
She's the one that's bound to the pharmaceutical industry, isn't she?
yes, yep. I'm not. I mean, at least she was. To me, at least now, just be honest about who you are.
Yeah.
If you don't want to,
She's not gonna do that.
yeah, just being being independent. Do you?
She's not gonna do that. This looks like a power move to me.
Yeah.
This looks like you're gonna have to come to me to get what you want.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah.
And I think the other guy from West Virginia,
McCarthy.
no,
Manchin.
Manchin.
Yeah.
I think he was in the same situation where, you guys can't really do anything
Yep.
unless I let you do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a problem with the fact that one politician can stop something that's beneficial for the country.
Mm-hmm.
I got a major issue with that.
Yep. So I mean, I believe they still have the majority even without her, but she
Yeah.
is going to be a key piece though.
Absolutely.
A lot of stuff.
Absolutely. And for some reason, I don't know what the tantrum was about, because that's what it looked like to me.
Mm.
Whatever she didn't like, she decided, I'm going to take my ball and
And go home.
go home.
Mm-hmm. You see, when it's
Unbelievable.
they need to vote her out, like whatever her.
I don't know why she got
term is up.
elected again. She's horrible.
I know.
So we see Arkansas town elects the youngest black mayor in U.S. history. How old was he?
He's 18 years old. He is 18.
Which part of Arkansas is this? Don't tell me Strong.
No. I just added to. Oh, hold on.
Yeah, don't tell me Strong, Arkansas.
Nah, he 18 years old. Now he sounds very smart. He's
Okay.
got the mayor of Little Rock mentoring him,
Okay.
and he's in a network of the mayors in Arkansas
Okay.
to help him. So he's like, I'm not going in this by myself.
Okay.
So I give it to him on that. I think where's this?
But you're sure it's not Strong?
Where's it?
Man, oh man, 18
No,
years
the
old.
town of Earl.
Earl?
Earl, yeah, I don't know
Earl.
where that is.
Earl. Is Earl near Strong?
Earle, Earl, Arkansas. He just graduated in May.
I've seen that.
Yeah. So it's a town of about 1,800 people.
Yeah.
Small town.
Yeah.
It's close to Memphis. So it's on that part of
So
Arkansas.
on that part of Arkansas.
Yeah. He won 235 votes to 185.
What? But you said how many people in town?
About 1,800.
And only like 400 people voted?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
You got to have more than 400 adults.
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll see what happens.
Tom's on the line, they say.
Yeah.
Good morning, Tom. How you doing?
Good morning, Bishop. How you doing, Pastor
Hey,
Nick?
man. How you doing?
I'm at a disadvantage. I can't see you guys,
I know.
so I don't know if you've spoken about what I'm going to ask you.
Go ahead.
Deion Sanders.
Yes, we're talking
I'll
about
talk
him.
about that, yeah.
We're talking about him right now. Matter of fact, we just finished talking about him and the move, and we both see the business side of it. But I believe, based on what I heard Deion say, I thought his commitment was to the young people that he was coaching and those that, made decisions to come to the school based upon the fact that he was there. I get the business, but the reasoning, if to say it was just a better opportunity, I think would be more believable than I did a whole lot of stuff, so now I'm going somewhere else. I just
Yeah, I agree with you, and I'm concerned that somebody doesn't pick the ball up and keep running with it. But on the other hand, there were some small, and I don't know if this has anything to do with it, about about how much money was being exchanged for. Understand, like when they sold the stadium out with 65,000 people, that he wasn't getting his
That's
fair
not a thing.
share. He had this thing that once they
Forgot about that, yeah.
sold over 30,000, he would get a cut of the take of the tickets.
and they weren't
and that
giving it to
wasn't
him.
happening. I was saying that he made a direct comment this past week. Hey, we were selling the stadium out And it seems like every week they would only report 28,000. I want to know what happened to the other 30,000, which I was supposed to get, because his threshold was 30,000, he gets part of the take. And that wasn't happening. And there was some other things. Supposedly the president of the school was not agreeing with the deals he was making with
now, to say that would have made it look too mercenary.
Yeah.
The rumors are some of the money that he brought into the school, personally, himself, and business-wise, wasn't being used for what it was supposed to be used for.
Okay.
So that may be another reason why he decided.
Yeah.
But I didn't say it because it was only speculative. It's rumor. So,
and I don't know if that was a diversion to justify him leaving. So, it's kind of, gets kind of muddy there, because if it's true, I understand him leaving better, but I don't know if he threw that out there because he wanted to leave also.
No, I don't know of him like Pastor Nick does. Pastor Nick's been following him for a long time, but I get the impression that he has a very, 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 very strong sense of self.
He's very sure of who he is.
Okay, that his ego stays at an inflated state. So I wonder if it's something as human and as simple as he got offended.
If you look at the interview, he sounds offended in the way he says, because he's not accusing, but he is accusing. He said, "Hey, we sell the stadium out, and why is there always 28,000 when I know it's 65,000 there?" He goes, "Somebody got their fingers in the till." He put it that direct.
All you got to do is look at the packed stadium.
Yeah.
And if it seats 60,000 and you only report 28 to 30,000, that's going to show visibly. So, again, it's speculative.
Now, have they always had those crowds?
No, Deion brought the crowd.
No, never.
No. Them winning and stuff brought the crowds in.
I'm still reeling that Jackson State has a 60,000 seat stadium.
Yeah, they're I don't know if it's their stadium or if it's Mississippi Veterans Memorial Stadium. I don't think it's theirs.
Okay, so they use another stadium.
Another stadium.
Okay.
But they had that deal worked out.
Okay.
So he took
60,000 people coming to a game is a national audience.
Yes.
Yeah. And
If he got offended and left, they didn't do what they said they were going to do. I think they need to say that. But the humanitarian, I fulfilled my mission. Don't give us that if it's not the truth.
Yeah. And people were looking at HBCUs so much better. I mean, it's like, wow, Deion's there, they're back. I mean, every week I've been watching, the games.
Yeah.
It was like, in the old days, everybody knew about Grambling.
Oh, absolutely.
Maybe Jackson.
Yeah, but Grambling was it.
Grambling
was it. Grambling was it. The NFL is full of people historically from Grambling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A lot of people don't realize the first Super Bowl, Grambling State Marching Band was halftime entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they always, and I believe Coach, I can't remember his name now, was the most winning coach in college ball.
Eddie Robinson.
Yeah, Robinson.
All I say is this. I mean, you have the Jackson Southern game,
right,
the SWAC National Championship on NBC, probably the first time,
on
a major network, because of him.
Okay.
Looking at it from a football angle, coaching angle,
right?
Most coaches don't stay in one place forever. Now, maybe because it was 3 or 4 years. If he stayed for 10 and just then decided to leave, it wouldn't have been as big of a hit.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that it was 3 and then I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just the nature of.
I want to see what the network commitment is going to be now that he's gone.
Oh, no, it's not going to be the same.
Yeah. Bishop, I was seeing schools like Bethune-Cookman, North Carolina A&T. Those schools were on national TV.
Yeah, I want to see what the network commitment is. And I don't think, unfortunately, I think his celebrity helped drive that.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
not a great football player, but I think his celebrity, his name, helped drive a lot of that.
Yep.
And I don't think they can get somebody like him
No.
because he's a very unique
He's
individual.
One of a kind. One of a kind.
I don't think they can get somebody like him,
No.
which means there's going to be there may be a drastic change,
Yeah.
a regression
Yeah.
that, you know, as a former HBCU graduate, I don't want to see that happen again.
Yeah. I mean, I think they worked out some type of deal. So for the next couple of years, they're going to be at least a SWAC national championship game is going to be on a major network, because they did show other HBCU games that Jackson State wasn't playing in.
Yeah.
Like Grambling, the former NFL head coach is the coach there now, and somebody else.
And they look like kiddie videos versus the national network stuff. I just want to drop in it because I watched too, and they were not dynamic broadcasts.
It felt like, how can I say this nicely, a black event.
Well, yeah.
I'm just saying, it felt like
a high school game.
It was like a high school
school
game.
game, yeah.
Yeah, that's how it was broadcast.
Yeah, it wasn't.
So they didn't offer a lot. They didn't commit a lot of
Fanfare.
resources to it. They didn't commit a lot of broadcast resources to those games.
Yeah, but I think to me, there's with black people, it always comes down to, it's a mixture of Malcolm and Martin.
Okay.
To me, you got to push for systematic change, but also we can't rely on systematic change to make changes too.
That's true.
Again, going back to what we talked about earlier, imagine all those HBCU graduates. Again, $10, $20 a month.
Yep.
You wouldn't have to worry about crumbling facilities.
Nothing.
You can go to a network and say,
Nothing.
look, we got this we're coming in with.
Nothing. Nothing.
I mean,
and you're not talking about a lot of money.
Yeah.
And you're talking about money that most people throw away every month.
Yes. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I know.
saw
You go
somewhere
celebrate
where-
homecoming.
And take everything they can get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw this thing the other day where they were talking about how much money is being returned to HBCUs from the alumni. Claflin, which is in South Carolina, had the highest rate, and they still were nowhere close to the white schools. You know,
no.
of people sending money back.
No. Well, Tom, what else is going on in Florida, man? Anything?
And you know what? It's not a whole lot happening with our crazy governor. You know, I think the everything had you know, in Georgia because of you know, what was going on with Warnock and Crazy Walker. So we've been kind of quiet here.
Did y'all see where they did that whole woke bill in Florida, where the judge asked DeSantis, whoever the state's lawyers, to define what woke means,
Okay.
and they actually just had to admit that their definition of woke is basically a system that oppresses other people. I can't remember the exact wording, but they actually had to admit in court.
Yeah, and I brought it up a couple weeks ago.
They don't want them talking about systems that oppress people. That's what. So they had to admit in court that their bill was basically, we're going to hide the truth that there are people in this country that are oppressed.
So there's a bill called a woke bill down
Yeah, there's a
there?
woke bill down there that the judge stopped it. That talking about like changing how they teach on slavery.
Oh, okay.
You know,
that's
that whole
it.
gender equality
Okay.
thing.
And they call it a woke bill.
They called it a woke bill, but the judge said define what woke means.
Yeah, because that was crafty.
Yeah.
Because woke
even
for us is like aware, right?
Yes. Woke for us is aware.
Right.
But they co-opted the word and they tried to make it negative, but they had to admit in court their view of woke is anything that talks about systems that oppress people.
Well, they probably took the cue from the Black Lives Matter title, because the title indicated one thing, but the reality of the mission statement behind it was something else.
Yes.
So they used a culturally acceptable word.
Yep.
You got to sit around and
But-
think about that.
Yeah.
But if you listen to people like Marjorie Taylor, she uses the word, like in this text, the woke left are doing this and doing that, and we don't want to support the. I mean, they're such a negative connotation they're applying to it, and
But
I'm
what
glad the bill
but those
failed.
those terms put people of color to sleep,
Yep.
Yeah.
because they're thinking if it's woke, it must be something good.
Yeah.
But black folk are now becoming more aware of how they're using it
Okay.
because they took it. But
It's a buzz.
Yeah.
It's a buzzword.
It's a buzzword.
They're using.
yeah, but
Okay.
they actually had to admit we're trying to stop the teaching of systematic oppression in this country. And that's why the judge, I guess, keeps knocking it down.
Well, Tom, when the truth came out, what did the people of color in your state say?
And he said, you know what? It's so quiet. Bishop, this is going to sound crazy. I almost want to go out and run for office myself because I haven't heard the locals say anything.
Nothing at all.
Because here in Fort Lauderdale, Miami, there are a lot of Democrats, black and white, in office. And they all seem to be pretty quiet.
Unbelievable. Are they afraid of the governor?
You know what? He does some things. He does things that are so illegal, and he gets away with it. The first thing was after the shooting up in Marjorie's sermon at the high school.
Mm-hmm.
He fired the sheriff here in Fort Lauderdale, who's an elected official. It's not like, okay, we hired him. No, it's a office you have to run for and win.
Okay.
He came in and said the guy was incompetent, fired him. Okay, maybe he was incompetent. I don't think he was. But then the school board here in Fort Lauderdale, again, an elected position,
Mm-hmm.
he took 4 people off the school board, put his own people in, said they were incompetent. He was recently been challenged because these 4 people came in and fired the superintendent. She won, and those people are no longer on the board. But he has this thing where elected officials, if he doesn't like them, he finds some way to throw incompetence into what they're doing and eliminating them.
Wow.
And I'm sitting there going, how can he legally, hey, if you want office, I don't care who you are, the president can't say, I don't want you there.
But they're allowing him to do that in your state.
He's just getting pushed back on it only recently.
Wow.
But I'm saying the thing with the sheriff was 3 years ago. And the reason I say that, they've had an election since that happened, and the sheriff who he removed didn't win against the guy that he put in. And it's like he gets away with things here, and I don't understand it totally.
Amazing.
Yeah, Florida's a funny state. Bishop got nice weather, but they got some wacko leaders. Even Marco Rubio. If you listen to what he says in between the lines, and our other senator, who's heading up the Republican Party for re-elections. Oh, that guy! Even the look on his face. And maybe I'll come back to Jersey.
Yeah. All right, Tom. Thanks for calling, man.
See you, Tom.
Hey, you guys take care.
Have a
great
good day.
weekend.
Bye-bye. 866-743-8267, 866-743-8267. Give us a call. So, Brittney Griner, your interpretation of the release, I'm hesitant to talk about this, not for the political reasons. In the day that we live, to see human beings become bargaining chips is a little unsettling to
Very
me.
much so.
It's a little unsettling to me.
Very much so.
Because I'm glad she's out, but they kept the quote unquote more valuable chips in jail.
Yeah, because Russia said it's either him, the guy merchant of death, or nobody.
Yeah.
And I mean, part of me gets it. If my family member's over there, I don't want them to move hell, high water to get my family member back.
Yep.
But I don't know how comfortable I feel about this merchant of death guy.
The amount of carnage that he is capable of.
Yeah.
And I'm sure her family doesn't feel this way. But when you juxtapose the damage that he caused and can cause, and her, there's an inequity there. But I get the political part of it. I get the political part. And I don't know what the aftermath is going to be for this Victor Boot guy.
Yeah.
I think there's Boot about.
I don't know.
Yeah, Rainer wrote an article about him yesterday.
Bout.
Victor Bout. I don't know what the aftermath is going to be.
Yeah.
Whether they're going to arrest him again. Whether he's going to just come up missing.
Yeah. Or use him for something.
Yeah. But how do you let a guy go that's responsible for thousands of people getting killed because he sells weapons? First of all, how can you become a millionaire selling illegal weapons all over the world? Don't you have to have some country's cooperation to do that?
Yes, you do.
Okay.
Yes, you do.
Okay.
Yes, you do.
Okay.
Because whoever, did you see the exchange?
No.
Whoever picked up, when they did the exchange, when they swapped both of them.
You mean when they were blanking the faces out?
They didn't it was like a distant camera.
Okay.
When they swapped. When Brittney Griner went with the U.S. and they picked up the guy Victor. Whoever picked him up, hugged him, was excited to see him.
Okay.
So I don't know, and Victor was smiling. So I don't know if they got plans for him, but whoever from Russia picked him up was pleased to see him. And I would want them to move hell and high waters if that was my wife.
Absolutely. That's right.
So I'm glad she's home.
Yep.
But I don't know.
The deal seems kind of sketchy. Deal seems kind of sketchy. Maybe I'm being too sensitive today, but I don't think law enforcement people should be involved in extremist groups. Because how can you, if I'm in an extremist group, no matter what it is, how can I properly serve the public if I've got an extreme view about the public?
Yes. We're supposed to rule and govern and help impartially.
That's right.
Versus if you're in the Klan or you're in this
group.
If
I'm in an extremist group, whether it's the Black Panthers or the Ku Klux Klan, how can I, that kind of distorts my perception of people.
Yes.
Or I have a distorted perception of people if I'm a part of an extremist group.
Yeah. Well, sometimes law enforcement can be the extremist group. At times, not everybody, but
Yeah. This has been an amazing conversation today. I see jobs were good in November.
Mm-hmm.
263,000 jobs added in November. The unemployment rate is at 3.7.
Yep.
They're still trying to deal with the inflation.
Mm-hmm.
It might be the reason for a tick up in the rates, but we haven't had these kind of job numbers in a long time.
This is what they need to tout for the next 2 years. I think is for the next election.
Mm-hmm.
That the jobs, the inflation recovery, the economic collapse that everybody was talking about is not as bad. Well, they're anticipating not being as bad. Mm-hmm. The fact that even though the most recent election, there was a swap in Congress, Biden has had the best re-election rate of any president in 20 years. He's the first president that in the midterms I think he didn't lose not one major Senate seat.
Sure.
They need to be touting this and talking trash like the GOP would.
Yep.
For the next 2 years of what's been accomplished.
Yep. They got to sell it better.
Yeah,
they historically don't do a good job selling.
Yeah.
And I think Schumer, who has a lot of experience, needs a vocabulary change.
Okay.
You don't tell people shame on you who don't have any shame.
Right.
It sounds like you're throwing spitballs.
Right.
Just come on, man. What do you mean shame on you? You're talking to grown people who are doing what they want to do. They don't have any shame.
Thank you. Speaking of shame.
Okay.
For example, Ted Cruz's daughter just tried to commit suicide.
No.
So I believe she's bi, and she just tried to commit suicide.
Okay.
Compare the reaction from Democrats to his daughter compared to Republicans and how they faced the whole Nancy Pelosi's husband thing.
Right.
Is staggering. The Republicans were talking, there was a group of them talking trash, making fun of the situation.
Absolutely were.
But the Democrats and all of them we're sending you prayers. We hope your daughter's well. I'm like, some of them have no shame to be okay with a senior citizen man getting hit with a hammer.
It's all about politics.
Yeah.
And we're back to a lack of concern for human beings.
Yep.
And just because we don't get along doesn't mean that I can't have some compassion on you when you go through a tragedy that would affect me the way it probably is affecting you.
Yes.
I don't. Our humanity is in jeopardy.
Yep. John McCain, when he passed, that's when the floodgates in that door opened. Whether you liked him or not, he helped keep some civility.
I'm trying to tell you something. Conscience in the Republican Party died when John McCain died.
Yep. And they lost their minds.
Because some of this stuff they wouldn't be doing if he was alive.
Yes.
Because I think he'd step to people.
Mm-hmm.
And they respected him.
Yep.
They say Lindsey Graham respected him. Lindsey went off the rail after he died.
Yeah, he lost it, yeah.
It's almost like the parent, left the house.
Yeah, and they just went buck.
Man. Unbelievable.
Yep.
Well, we've got about 5 minutes left to go today. Of course, we want everybody to join us tomorrow. We have our virtual service online at 8 a.m. Will we be okay by then?
Well, I'm going to find out after.
Okay.
We have to run 8 o'clock for 11.
Our virtual service at 8 a.m. I'm going to have our indoor live service here in the sanctuary at 11 a.m. We hope you've registered. We've been having a great time in church together. We want to thank those that came out for our first Bible study, live Bible study on Wednesday night. We had a great time. We had a small crowd, but we didn't expect a large crowd on the first time out. I think that's getting into the registration rhythm for that service. Those of you who desire to be in Bible study this week, they need to
register. The registration for this Wednesday's done. Tomorrow, register for the following Wednesday.
Okay. See, that's where the confusion is.
Yeah.
We probably should put them on the same cycle.
Well, that was the problem with. I'll explain to you after.
Okay.
That was a dilemma with.
Okay.
Can we also say something too? For those who don't, some people are confused. We have the 2-shot minimum.
Right.
Some people just circulating wrong information.
Right.
Like we just had one person. I can't come to church. Like, yeah, you got the 2 shots. They thought they had to have like all 4 and 5. And
No.
So, 2-shot minimum. Come on in. Unless you got the Johnson & Johnson, then you need the booster.
If you got a Johnson, then you need another shot.
Yeah.
And that was the conversation I had yesterday.
Yes.
Yeah. But people are trying different ways. Okay, our toy drive is going on. We are collecting new unwrapped toys. We will be doing so for the next few weeks.
To this, you need them by this Wednesday.
By this Wednesday.
Yes.
We need them by Wednesday. So we want you to bring them by the church or go on the site, BBC of NJ, and donate to Catch the Fire.
Yep.
And that'll help us. You can bring it, you can drop the donation off at the church, whatever you like to do. Registration for next week starts tomorrow at 6 o'clock in the evening. If you have a prayer request, and we want you to do this now, if you have a prayer request, send it to social@gotobethany.com. We pray over all the prayer requests that we receive every Wednesday night. So you send your prayer request to social@gotobethany.com. Of course, we have some podcast platforms. We want you to subscribe to us, to David G. Evans 1 and BBC of NJ on YouTube. Subscribe to that so you can catch everything we do. But also subscribe to our DGEMS, DGEMS, and OnPointe podcast platforms. As always, we solicit your prayers for us. As we do what we believe God wants us to do. We're excited about this week's message in church. We're going to have a great time in the Lord in our rhythm series. Don't want you to miss it. The worship has been phenomenal. We're just so glad to be back together at our 11 a.m. live service, and we want you to just go through the steps of being safe and register and come on out. Crowd is growing every week. Of course, we're building up to our New Year's Eve service. That New Year's Eve service, we're going to try to limit it to about 800 or 900 people. So that one, of course, is by response only. So when registration begins, you want to make sure you get involved. We have phenomenal New Year's Eve services. You'll be safe. We'll be distanced. We'll have a great time in the Lord. Well, we've got 1 minute. Pastor Nicholas Smith, I'm Bishop David G. Evans. This has been On Point, the #1 Saturday morning Christian-based call-in talk show in America, live every Saturday morning from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on any smart device at David G. Evans 1. That's at David G. Evans, the #1. Tell someone about us. like us, subscribe us, share us as much as possible. Spread the word about OnPointe, where you can have a conversation about faith, religion, culture, events, politics, sports, health, all from a biblical kingdom perspective. That is our platform. If that interests you, share the wealth, share the word.